My wife's lawyer mocked my boring job until I slid photos across the courtroom table. Why did my wife's divorce lawyer suddenly walk out mid-hearing? My wife, Isabel, filed for divorce after 15 years and told everyone I was boring, never home, and married to my accounting firm. In court, she sat 2 seats away from me, arms crossed, staring straight ahead like I was already a stranger. Her lawyer was James Webb, a flashy guy in a pricey suit who talked like he was performing for an audience. He kept saying Isabel deserved better and that I'd been emotionally absent. I stayed quiet because every time I tried to answer, he stepped over my words. Then Webb started listing my assets for the record, flipping through a neat stack like he knew every number by heart. The defendant owns a 2019 Honda, has $47,000 in savings, and works as a senior accountant at Morrison & Associates. Isabel nodded along like that sounded normal. My lawyer's pen stopped. He leaned in and whispered, "You told me you're a private investigator." I nodded, because I am. I've been a PI for 12 years, and that was the moment I realized the real problem. Isabel doesn't even know what I do. She still thought I did taxes and bookkeeping, because that's what I did when we first met. When I switched careers, I never corrected her. Whenever she told people, "He does accounting," I just smiled and let it go. Sitting there in court, it suddenly felt like a trap I'd built for myself. Webb kept pushing for a quick ruling, acting like he already won. He said my accountant income was modest, and implied Isabel should get most of what we had. He talked about fairness while leaving out whole chunks of money. My lawyer asked to respond, and Webb rolled his eyes like we were wasting time. I reached into my bag and slid a folder to my lawyer. First was my business license, then my state PI certification, then invoices from recent cases. My lawyer's eyebrows went up. Webb's smile tightened. "What is this?" he asked, still trying to sound confident. I didn't answer. I placed the last stack of photos on top, face up. They were shots I took last week for an insurance fraud case, taken from my car. I followed a suspect to Romano's Italian restaurant, and that's where I saw Isabel walk in, dressed up, looking around like she didn't want to be noticed. Then Webb showed up and slid into the booth with her like it was planned. I took pictures because that's what I do, and because I couldn't believe what I was seeing. Isabel and Webb holding hands across the table. Isabel and Webb kissing in the parking lot next to his car. Isabel laughing while he touched her face like it was normal. Webb saw them and went pale. He started shoving papers into his briefcase so fast the zipper caught. His hands were shaking. Isabel's head snapped toward him, then back to the photos, like she couldn't make it make sense. My lawyer stood up. "Your Honor," he said, "there appears to be a conflict of interest." Webb took a step toward the door anyway. The bailiff moved in front of him. Judge Harrison looked straight at Webb. "Sit down," he said. "This hearing is not adjourned." Webb sat, stiff, eyes on the table. Judge Harrison studied the photos. Then he looked up with a hard stare. "Counselor," he said, "are you having a relationship with your client while representing her in these divorce proceedings?" Webb opened his mouth. Nothing came out. Isabel covered her face with both hands, shoulders shaking. The judge turned to the financial pages my lawyer handed him. "And why have you been presenting the defendant's income as if he's a mid-level accountant?" Webb tried to speak again, but it came out as a weak sound. The judge looked at me. "Mr. Chen, what is your actual annual income?" I swallowed and answered, "About 220,000, Your Honor, and my PI business averages another 150,000. Isabel dropped her hands and stared at me, eyes wet and wide. "You're not an accountant," she said. "You took these photos?" I nodded once. "Yeah, it's my job." Judge Harrison looked at Isabel. "Mrs. Chen, did you know your husband's real profession?" She shook her head, tears sliding down her cheeks. "No," she said. "He leaves early, comes home late, and always said he was at the office." I kept my voice low. I was working cases, stakeouts, surveillance, background checks. I never lied about being busy. Judge Harrison exhaled like he'd seen enough. "Mr. Webb," he said, "you are removed from this case immediately. I'm referring this matter to the state bar." Webb's jaw clenched, but he didn't look up. "Bailiff," the judge added, "escort him out." Webb stood so fast his chair scraped and walked toward the door without looking at Isabel. Isabel stared after him, then turned back to me, stunned. The judge rapped his gavel once. "Proceedings are postponed for 30 days, he said. "Mrs. Chen, you will obtain new representation." Now they're saying I went too far showing those photos. Was I wrong?